Well, this is Pat Walker at Mission Winners. A lot of times when people look at charts, they always look at it at the last day. And they say, well, oh, this is a nice trend. That was easy. Oh, it got a little loose here. And, oh, it started to fall. Yeah, and I sold it all off right here. Yeah, I was done. It's easy. And I did all this. I missed all that. So it's great. Oh, yeah, and by the way, I bought it back when it gapped down here and then fell. Yeah, I would have bought it back here when it took out the day's lows and came back up. Yeah, that worked out great. Yeah, sure. And the people that say that also have, they sell ice to Eskimos. So the better thing to do would be to study charts before the fact. It really helps control our bias and our thought processes. It's how we learn. Whenever you're looking at charts, if you're just looking after the fact all the time, you're cheating yourself because you don't know. The last time I checked, nobody knows the future. Nobody. So we need to slide charts back on how they were doing before you bought. In this instance, we could look at this, and I'll slide this over here and just show you. So it fell here on heavy volume. Look at this. I'll take it to here. Look at this nice trend. Except for one day, and on that day, it closed. I make it a little bit bigger. On that day, the spiders closed. They gapped down, they fell, and they closed right at their highs for the day on a pretty good volume. And the next day, they followed through. But more importantly, look at this trend up the 8-day. The 8-day exponential moving average loses the 8-day on that day right there. That's a telltale sign. These other days found support at the 8-day. See that? Closed above. But this day it goes, the next day it gaps down, falls, and reverses and closes up near the highs. Could a person sell a little bit on that day? Sure. You can say, yeah, but then you missed this. When this is happening right here, and then it does this, you don't know when it gaps down and falls, you don't know that it's going to reverse and close up near the highs on the day. You don't know that at the time. And if you say you do, we both know we're not being honest with ourselves. So all we can do is act accordingly. You rode the trend, starts to lose the 8-day, you sell some. Gaps below the 20, you could sell some more. Do you sell it all? No, if you have good entry down lower, you can give the rest of your shares down to the rising 50-day if you want. It's that simple. So advance it a day. It gaps back up and it starts to march. And we'll just walk through this. Goes up, comes down to the 8-day, on the 8-day, and starts to pick up again on volume. You see that? Look at that. Support on the 8, and it lifts off the 8-day on heavier volume. They bought it. Goes up, starts to march up. Look at these green volume bars. It's okay. Going sideways, no problem. Starts to pick up again. And look at this. Goes sideways for 3 days and then lifts off these tops on a pickup in volume. You think we're the only people in the world that saw this tight consolidation zone? Everybody saw it. And the next day it picks up on volume. Then it has this big tail day here, all right? On heavy volume. Do you panic out on that day? No. It's still above the rising 8-day. And then you have a quiet inside day. Another quiet. This is just before Christmas. Quiet. And then it starts to pick up again. You're in the holidays now, okay? So things are quiet. Starts to lose. Gets close on the New Year's Eve day coming right here. But then look at this day. It drops down and closes above the 8-day. If you bought this down here, you can sure weather it losing the 8-day by just a little bit. You can give it a little breathing room, folks. By the way, in these moves, just look at the daily chart. It starts to pick up again. Now here it drops, but it closes above the 8-day on a pickup in volume. Gaps down and closes above the 8-day. Then look at this day. Gaps down and closes at the highs for the day. What's the only negative on this day? It did it on less volume. but it's still above the 8-day. The rising 8-day, it's still above the rising 20-day. Closes above the 8-day on low volume. Bounces off the 8-day on a pickup in volume. Starts to go up on less volume. You could say, well, we need to sell it all. Why? The trend is up. That's simple. Gaps up and closes down, but it's still above the 8-day. Slight volume pickup. Goes up, low volume, inconsequential. Just going sideways here. Up on a pickup in volume. Look at the trend. The 8-day exponential moving average. It's a trend. I've used this for years. I've used this for way over a decade. Okay. Comes down to the 8-day. Closes up, slight pickup in volume. Now this day here, it gaps up and closes below the 8-day on a pickup in volume. Slight negative. Still above the 20-day, but change in complexion on that bar. Do you sell all your shares? No, you own it down lower. Would you sell some? You could if you want to. Do you sell it all? No, it's above the 20-day. Now it gaps through the 20-day on heavy volume. Could you sell some there? Yes, you could. But again, because you own it down here, you can give the rest of your shares down to the 50-day and you're okay. It goes up, but notice this day, folks. It goes up, gaps up, closes up on less volume. Slight red flag. 2 days down on heavy volume, up on less volume. Gotta watch it. Gaps up and reverses and closes down just a bit, but on low volume, above the 20-day. The blue line's the 20-day. 20-day simple. Gaps down and then closes up on a pickup in volume. You're still okay. Gaps down and drops down to the 50-day on a big pickup in volume. That's a negative day. That is a negative day. All right? Right there. But then you have an inside day. By the way, did it lose the 50-day? No. And then it starts to pick up again and go up again. And it trends. This day, did it close below the 50-day? Be honest, did it? No. So would you sell all your shares? If you have rules and follow your rules, you're okay. And marches. Gets a little loose there. Still above, closes above the 8, above the 20, above the rising 50. Down to the 20-day, right here, on a big pickup in volume. Has not lost the 20-day, but that volume is something to be aware of. And then it drops and plummets through the 50-day on heavy volume. On this day, what do? Well, you sell almost, if not all, the rest of your shares. If not, sell most, and if it takes out today's lows on this bar, you sell the rest. Gaps up, and it does it. Look at the volume. You think we're the only people in the world that do this? I teach this, by the way, okay? I teach this in the class and things. Look at that. That ain't mom and dad selling. That's serious volume. Serious. That's this day here is talking. This day's screaming. Get out. Get out. Does this, and then this. And this would blister you. This hurts. This would really hurt. Really hurt. And you can say, yeah, but look at today. Look at that. Hey, when it's doing this, I don't know the future. Nobody does. Nobody. So that's where we're at right now. So let's take it a step further. I want to show you a couple of examples. Look at this. These are actual keyless stocks. NVIDIA. Up on good volume, quiet inside day on less volume. Little shelf right here above the 8-day. Advance at 1 day, and it triggers. Look at the volume pickup. As I stated, people talk with their mouths and vote with their pocketbooks. Guess what? They voted. People bought it right here. 254. We'll say 254, okay? Bought it. And it goes up. And it gaps up. And it goes up. It reverses down on a slight pickup in volume. All right? And you say, well, I'm up 15 points. Maybe I'll sell a little bit off, right? Shorter base. Nothing wrong with that. So you sell a little bit off. You can say, hey, quantify this statement. Sell off 20%. Just 20%. And then you get that. That's why you don't sell it all. It didn't break anything. It did fall on a slight pickup in volume. You could take a little bit off. But folks, think about this. You could sell some and then get the rest of your shares all the way back to your price. And guess what? You still made a profit. All right? You get this. You get this. Bearish engulfing bar. Maybe sell a little bit more if you want to. Drops down on heavy volume down to the 8-day. What would you do there? You could sell a little bit more. You could say, Patrick, what do you mean? Sell it off in 15, 20% increments. 20% increments. Drops down here, all right, to the 20-day. Lost there. You could sell more. And then you get this. Inside day, and you get this. See that? Down on heavy volume. Inside day on less volume. Down. By selling some into strength and selling more, losing moving averages, you guaranteed yourself a profit. By the way, in this entire move, not one time did we look at a 5-minute chart. Not once. I don't even know if I looked at a 10-minute chart. You don't need to. You just don't need to. Does this right here, starts to march up, and that's what we're at now. But you don't know that when you're buying. Here's the other key point. If you bought this and did this right, you're selling some of this for maybe close to a 55 point profit. If you didn't sell anything, you watched a 55 point profit disappear all the way down to where you were losing money. Would that make you mad? You're darn right. And again, any 5-minute charts in this move? No, you don't need to. I'm going to show you another example. Square. Keyless stock. Little pennant formation right here. It's also a max list stock. I love the max list. Right here. And it lifts through. Look at the volume pickup. As I said before, people talk with their mouths and vote with their pocketbooks. Guess what? They voted. They voted. And look at the move. And then this. Bearish engulfing bar on a volume pickup. What could you do on that bar? Maybe sell 20%. You can say, well, that's not much of a move. Well, guess what? I don't know the future. I need to protect myself. Inside bar and less volume. Bounces off the 8-day and starts to go again. Comes down to the 8 and bounces. Goes up, grinds up, sell a little bit more, accelerate up on a volume pickup. Fine, that's great. And then you get this wide range bar here. You sell a little bit more in this, okay? Wide range bars can be dangerous. Down on less volume, and then you get this. Right there. And then you get this. And you're below the 20-day now. You've got a problem here, okay? If you had not sold, the moral of the story is this. If you didn't sell anything into strength, you just watched right here a 10-point profit turn into basically a loss. Then it gaps up here and runs up. Look how loose this is. This is very, very loose right now. Be careful with action like this. Can't stress that. This, by the way, you see that gap up and how it closed? That's not a good bar. All right? Always, always watch your price action, open, high, low, close in relation to market action. It will help you dramatically. It will help you, I promise. GSX, DXCM. Entry here. Buy. Goes up, meanders around. Okay? And I told people, earnings are coming. Manage this tighter. And so some was sold for a very small loss. All right? Then it starts to lift up. On this day, I said, sell more, sell more. You can say, why? It's doing great. I knew earnings, everybody knew. I mean, it's no secret, it's public information. Earnings were coming out. What do we want to avoid? We want to avoid a huge gap down. So you sell off a little bit more. Keep some. You can say, Patrick, how much? Maybe you sold off half. Maybe you sold off 60% for a profit, just in case. And then you get the gift right here. Could you sell some into this? Sure you could. Losing the 8-day, take the money. Would you sell all? That was about a 35, 40 point profit. Do you sell all of it? Why? Why? There's no reason to. You can let it work as long as possible. It's how money is made. It's so important. I'm going to show you another one. And I've shown this before, but this is important. We talk about the 8-day moving average, and we talk about the 20-day. It's going sideways. There's a nice shelf there. This was a keyless stock. And I said if it takes out these tops in here, that's a buy. And it does on a pickup in volume. Our cost was $338.30. By the way, please know they all don't do this. Don't get wrapped up in that, okay? Just take what it'll give you and let it work as long as possible and watch it trend. I'm going to say it again. Please watch your stocks trend on the 8-day moving average. Watch them trend on the 20-day. Watch them trend on the 50-day. I want to show you this, though. This is wonderful. On the 8-day. On the 8-day. Walking up. Grinding up. Is that nice? Lifting. Going up. Grinding up. Look at the volume pick up on this bar. Quiet bar. Picks up again. And what do we have? A trend. A nice solid trend. And it marches. And it marches. By the way, I stress, folks, they all don't do this. Please don't think that. Take what it'll give you. Never argue with price. Opinions don't pay. Forecast don't pay. One thing pays. Price. Price pays. Walking. And I'm going to go through this. Down. But did it close below the 8-day, folks? Do you see one day where this closed below the 8-day? Did it close below the 8-day? Did it close below the 8-day? Did it close below the 8-day? On this day, did it close below the 8-day? You get my point. Did it close below the 8-day? See the trend? Didn't close below the 8-day, folks. I'm not doing this to irritate you. I'm doing this because I wish somebody had done this for me 30 years ago. Look at that trend. We don't know where it's going to stop. You just ride it. Did it close below the 8-day? No. Were we selling some into strength in here? Yes, we were. Close below the 8-day? Close below the 8-day? I'm not doing this to irritate you. Did it close below the 8-day? Look at that. 338. It closed below the 8-day. We were selling some on this emotional gap right here. Folks, this right here, that's 600 points. All right? Did we sell at the top? Heck no, that's a liar. Liars sell at the top, okay? But you make what you can. The key point is, by the way, that's the first day it closed below the 8-day. All right? I can't stress that enough. Finally, look at that. See that? Lost the 20-day, came down, said, that's enough. Maybe we'll get back in it. Did I look at a 5-minute chart this entire move? I never looked at a 5-minute chart. I don't even know if I ever looked at a 10-minute chart. You don't need to. You don't need to. Anyway, I want to share this with you. I hope this helps you. I encourage you, take the time to study it. This is what we teach. By so doing, you will be better than the next person. And that's what it's all about. And guess what? On these trends, with less stress. Less stress. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. This is what we do at Mission Winners. They say knowledge is power. It's power. Giving it to you.